reason I'm mentioning this is because the first expression of hemophilia on this planet was in Queen Victoria's family in the mid-1800s. She had a son who was born with this, as they refer to it, the disease of the blue bloods, and he had died relatively young of what I believe was a head injury.
Okay.
And so right away from there, this tells me that I'm from a family that's a little bit different from everyone else around me, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
So when I started to get a little older in terms of getting into my teen years, and when I started showing an aptitude for writing and showing an interest in libraries and looking for answers and truth and so forth, I started looking into this. And coincidentally, my father's brother, my uncle, he had done a family tree genealogy report on our entire family when I was about 6 or 7 years old. At that time, in the late 60s, he was in college, and he had done this for some college class that he was taking. And what he found out was that our family is descendant from royalty in Poland, and that we were actually part of a Polish military family. So that established the lineage, if you will, of our bloodline. Now, the other side of my family, these are the people that are the Illuminati group. Okay. My uncle was a very famous person in our area. He was a television star back before there was a TV show called Good Morning America, which you may be familiar with.
Sure, yeah.
Here locally in the Buffalo area, before that show came on in 1978, from 1962 to 1978, in May, he worked on 2 morning shows which were produced out of the ABC affiliate here in Buffalo, a TV station called WKBW. And these 2 shows were called Rocket Ship 7 and Dialing for Dollars, which was a game show. My uncle played Promo the Robot on Rocket Ship 7. It was a kid's cartoon show. And on Dialing for Dollars, he was the musical, one half of the musical group that was on there. They were known as Johnny and Jimmy. And this was my uncle and his good friend, who were also members of a polka band called the New Yorkers. So, like, everybody knew these people in our area. My uncle was extremely well known to a large group of citizens in our area, and he made a lot of money doing what he did. He also owned a couple of different music stores and did very well for himself financially during his lifetime. He was my favorite uncle, and this was because he was interesting. He was an honest person. He was a Shriner Freemason. He was a very high level, 32nd or 33 degree Freemason, a member of the Shrine, and was a very frequent donator of time and money to charitable organizations and charitable events. So I grew up with this dichotomy, I guess you could say, in my family, where we had this very wealthy part and we had this just middle class side of family,
Mm.
which I belong to.
Mm.
Now, my aunt and uncle had 2 daughters. The oldest of the 2 daughters married a globalist in 1986, and this guy today owns a corporation that is known as Gibraltar Industries,
Mm-hmm.
and they control 22 different corporations. Most of what you see in a Home Depot store that is made of metal or steel comes from that company.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
They also have no bid contracts with General Motors and Ford Motor Company and all these very high level globalist corporations, Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
My cousin, when she married this individual, they were married at a location in Buffalo, which is called the Saturn Club.
Interesting.
And this is the clubhouse for the local Order of Saturn chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the mansions in the downtown Buffalo area.
Mm.
We have a section of our city that has these very ornate early 1900s and turn-of-the-century mansions, which are former homes of the elite who lived during those years.
Mm-hmm.
This Saturn Club is absolutely nauseating to be inside of.
Mm-hmm.
I was only in it once, which was to go to the wedding and to see, what this place was, because I had heard so much about it.
Mm.
And all of the weird paintings on the wall and all of the Illuminati type of symbolism and all the astrological symbolism that is all over this place. So again, just as we were talking about a few moments ago with JFK and all the solar theology and the solar worship, here we have another group that is basically dedicating themselves to the Saturn planet and the Saturn energy, which is known to be highly negative, at least that as Michael Tsarian talks about. So that's the basis of our general family structure.
This guy who's owning Gibraltar, I should say, Gibraltar Industries, do you think that he were aware of the bloodline of your family since before, so to speak? Because I've heard a lot about that there are marriages are pre-planned in ahead of time within a few families here and there. And do you know if this guy himself is a part of some more royal bloodline going back to Europe or something similar? Do you know?
Yeah, the answer is yes to both of those questions. First of all, he's from a German family and comes from the same general area as the Bavarian Illuminati to begin with.
Okay.
So that's the basis of that family. Now, they are extremely well financed, extremely well connected, and I will tell you about some of the connections that they have, which go very, very high into our government structure. So these people have insinuated themselves into the power elite of this country. My cousin's husband also is he sits on one of the Rothschild boards. He sits on some of these high-level corporation type of boards. He also participates in philanthropy. although he's very stingy about who he gives his money to,
Mm.
and we can talk about that too a little later.
Yeah.
And it's just, as far as my personal experience is that, they're in it for themselves,
Mm.
and they care less about anybody except who's going to make them their next $1 billion and how it's going to benefit them.
Mm.
That's all they're interested in.
So, have you talked to this guy personally, had long conversations with him, or how is your relationship, so to speak?
Well, I have not talked to these people in a number of years, and the reason being is, once I started getting into some of these areas that I research and write about,
Mm.
I was basically told that I'm no longer welcome, so to speak, which is fine,
Really?
because I don't enjoy the company of these people anyway.
Okay.
And yeah, I've had many long conversations with these people and with this individual in particular, and it's just more of the same of what I'm describing here.
Mm.
What can you do for me? And that's it.
Mm. So, is the only driving factor here, you think, greed, or has this to do with allegiance to different orders that have, big plans for what, and these guys are the administrators for that plan, or how do you think that works?
Well, actually, during the time that this marriage occurred, I had been in business for myself in a commercial printing company here in the Buffalo area.
Mm.
And because of my having a medical disability, hemophilia, as I described, I was able to get some preferred contract status with some of the different accounts that I had. So my idea was, that I'm a good quality product, I have a good business, I'm honest, my prices aren't ridiculous, and so I'll do business with my family members, or so I thought. I was actually approached because I had brought in several $1 million worth of business into this company in a very, very short amount of time, both as a government subcontractor and as a subcontractor of many of the local defense contractors here in the Buffalo, New York area. And so I attracted the attention because of this quick success and this high influx of business with an individual who came into my shop one day and basically made me an offer and said, you're a smart person and we wanted to check you out and we've heard about you and so forth. And that opportunity was for me to become a Freemason.
Yeah.
And as it came to pass, after I had thought about this for a little while, I refused the offer because I had already been looking into Freemasonry, and I was very suspicious at that time of these hidden agendas and so forth, and I didn't want to be a part of that. So by my refusing this offer to do this, within basically like a month after that, I am completely out of business.
Really?
I've had all these clients call me one after another, almost like they got a phone call telling them, you've got to drop this guy. Because it was one after the other, day after day.